least we know it's recording.
We're off, number 51. It's kind of hard to think that through, right? That's
I know we should have done more like jokes around this as like the Area 51. Yeah.
well, maybe there is something hidden in here that if people assign a numerical value to the first letter of every word said and add it up, divided by 51.
Yeah, and maybe there's a puzzle behind this image that you see right here, and we're just waiting for somebody to crack it.
They will, somebody or not.
Yeah, and then metagraphs can roll out.
Man, I got real deep into augmented reality games. Not sure, ARGs for a while. Some of them going on for like 22 years, like global weird with payphones, weird stuff. Anyway, I can send you some links, ruin your day.
Well, you know what ruined my day was those empty spaces. Now everywhere I go, I look at the world with the lens of empty
back rooms, man.
Back rooms.
Got obsessed with back rooms. Anybody listening, get into back rooms.
Did you see that video that picture that I sent you? It was actually pretty nicely done in San Francisco. That was at the Salesforce building. And like how empty it was, just two giant escalators going up. And it's just like perfectly symmetrical. Everything was like perfect. And, it's a building, but, it was just like not a soul in sight. So fascinating.
Jenny and I just watched all 7 Terminators back to back, by the way. I mean, not in a row. We had to pause between them. But I will tell you, as crazy as it sounds, and I'm sure if anybody hears this, they're going to crucify me. The last one was the best. 7, and that's never the case. Highly
like Christian Bale in that or something?
No, that was number 4, and that was the worst. That was by far the worst. Plus, I don't know if you remember when Christian Bale got caught on camera losing his shit on that set. Somebody recorded it for like 4 minutes of him just like falling apart, but which would have merited if it was a good movie. But I think he was just frustrated because he knew it was going to flop. But anyway,
I'm sure. Terminator. Didn't you also?
No, I only bring that up because the escalators, right? Like it's just the Skynet feeling of just how these empty spaces of just like this dystopian future where the machines take over and there's just these massive, chunks of infrastructure that've got nothing going on except for metagraphs charging them. Metagraphs are validating the Skynet data.
I think I would pay somebody to write up a use case around metagraphs being Skynet. I think it would be a fascinating thing to see. Claire, that doesn't mean that we are really building Skynet. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like I've seen some community versions of this.
Want to make this very clear.
Claire's clear. Like, oh my God.
Claire, anything, we're going to try to stop Skynet. And what was the name of the company, though? The Cyberdyne. That was it. I am the Cyberdyne T101. They're like, it just happened to speak Austrian. That was the robot language we chose.
Language of choice is Austrian because it sounds ominous. I mean, I could see. I don't know.
English, but in an Austrian accent.
Yeah, that's that's an enigma. You're right.
All
right. Well, I think we're approaching about 5 minutes. I'll give it like another minute. I've still seen like 20 people come in at the last minute. Then we can riff. Diggles, your request to, even though you're not presenting today, it was the community wanted to see your pretty face. See the gun show.
Well, I still exist. And I guess before we get kicked off, just a reminder for those that are tracking it, I am doing a DAG Chats Twitter Spaces. I refuse to call it X. I'm going to stay with Twitter forever. I mean, why rebrand? I could do a TED Talk on X, a TEDx, if you will. But yeah, I will be doing it. We're going to announce the time, the date. It's going to be, I think, the end of this month at the latest. So please join me. But today it's not about me. Handing it back over to Mr. Jorgensen and the wonderful Alex Brandis.
We hit our 200 number that we were waiting for. So let's kick this off. Today's a very content filled Hypergraph hour. Actually, really, I am really excited about this Hypergraph hour. It covers almost everything. And we have joined with us today. Well, Alex Brandes, our CTO, and I will be presenting today a lot of different topics. And then Sarah Figueroa from GeoJam will also be talking today. So a nice little special guest. So let's just jump into it.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Definitely a lot to cover. So let's do it.
It's a lot to cover. As everybody knows, this is not scripted. Slides are prepared, but we always want this to be as authentic as we can. So a lot of this is off the cuff, but it's also kind of our DNA at this point on what we're doing. So a little bit of the agenda, I'll go over kind of leadership. We'll start off a little bit on leadership, Alex's role at the company. We'll talk about our enterprise positioning. This is something that's been long waited for many of the people in the community. We're going to give a Lattice update as well. Then we'll Alex will take the reins and dive into the Door Metagraph. And then we'll hand it over to Sarah to talk about the GeoJam Metagraph. And then right below that, the CNS, which we will describe that a little later. That's a little bit of a surprise that we've literally told nobody about. And then future Hypergraph hour episodes, kind of laying out the groundwork for the next coming months on what to expect. And then just a little bit of a recap. But before I begin, I got to say, we have to have a little humor in all this. I thought this was probably the funniest meme I've seen in a while. Clearly people like this connection of the Wagyu bros, and never sure if it's a negative thing or what the connotation or denotation is. But I thought this was really funny, and we're always paying attention to this stuff. We love it. We love seeing kind of people rally behind it, especially when they're wanting to kind of build the momentum. And I think, right now at the state of crypto in general, there is a lot of uncertainty, but I feel like communities are starting to come together again in this fall for a common purpose and see innovation become realized. And I think every ecosystem and protocol layer, they're going through their own transition of finding real adoption. And so I can't thank the community enough for actually building content like this. It keeps people having fun, keeps people real, it keeps people grounded, and always holds us accountable. And I love the personality that comes out in all this. Second of all, I was asked to do a community support message and say a huge thank you to many of the individuals from the community that have helped on the administrative aspects and setting up and maintaining mainnet, testnet, integration net. They've also taken a lot of leadership in helping newbies set up their Metagraph, write deployment codes, and really troubleshoot any node issues that come about. So I can't thank this team enough. You guys have proven yourselves in so many ways and offered so much valuable impact to our company and to our ecosystem. It's helped us kind of look at how we will scale our organization, how we'll scale our network when we open it, and how we can bring on more Metagraphs successfully. So we really couldn't do it without you all. And a huge thank you to this company right now, where crypto kind of has this weird sentiment going around. There's angst, there's uncertainty. We're waiting for ETFs, like liquidity is low. There's actually a really positive sentiment in the company. And internally, we might not express this all the time, but our company is in a really coherent and strong place. And we are very positive and very motivated by everything every day. And I think that that doesn't always come through over the digital medium like Telegram or Twitter, but talk to anybody at our company, and there is a coherence that I've never seen at Constellation before. It feels good. It feels like people we're really finding our step, and it's an exciting time to be in this company. And I wish that we could translate that to the broader industry. And I can only ask the community to take that sentiment to the broader industry. and share that positivity where there's a lot of uncertainty. On a bigger announcement, I think a lot of people in the community heard me mention that Wyatt, our former CTO and co-founder, has moved into an advisor role at the company. Wyatt is still an equity holder. He's also a DAG holder, and he's still active in the ecosystem. He was a huge contributor to the theoretical framework of what Constellation is. And really now we're making a huge shift into focusing on execution and really the scalability of our network. And I've had the privilege of working with Alex ever since he came on from Door. And over the past several months, he's taken an incredible leadership position where he's proven himself to execute flawlessly with exceptional professionalism, attention to detail, that it's like that very few people have this set of skills in an industry that is so, it's so big. There's so many different layers to a crypto company that's traditional revenue. There's cryptocurrencies, there's application teams, there's protocol teams. And Alex, over the past several months, has been able to show that he can execute across the board and really express himself as a CTO. And that includes being able to hire top-tier talent and recruit top-tier talent. He's been able to successfully implement and stay consistent with a vision while seeing how it evolves and can flourish, while being able to actively manage multiple different engineering teams with multiple different products. And he's seen a lot of success. And so I'm really proud to kind of announce Alex's leadership. Alex, I'll let you take the reins, man.
Yeah, sure. I guess first of all, just want to say thank you for the recognition, and I understand the trust that this puts in me. So it's an honor to have the team and the community trust me in that way, and just to keep pushing that vision forward. So I'm humbled by the responsibility. There's a ton of possibilities, and I'm here to work hard to push all that forward. I think beyond that, it's a little bit business as usual going forward. I've already been working with all the different engineering teams here at Constellation, pushing forward all those engineering efforts. So I think it's not necessarily a major shift internally in terms of day-to-day. It's really happened over the past few months, but just want to keep moving forward with that momentum and keep producing product and the features that we're all hoping for within the network. I should say I want to give a special thanks to Wyatt specifically for what he's done to get the project to where it is today. It's his original vision it's been our guiding compass, and what we're aiming to produce. He did a lot to create this novel architecture with the ability to scale. Thought a lot about how to create these generative win-win economic systems that are creating opportunity for everyone involved. So I think that's really something special. I think that's why a lot of us are here with Constellation, the company, and why a lot of community members are interested in Constellation, the network, and the project. So just wanted to make that note. But I do think it does make sense to make a transition now. We're focusing on execution, and the vision itself is changing a little bit based on the current landscape. A lot has changed in the crypto world since this all started in 2018, and so there's adaptation, and just kind of focusing on delivering some of the promises and the ideas from the past, but also fitting that into a new framework that is going to work in the current landscape. Maybe you could jump to the next slide. So so we're really, I think, starting to kind of coalesce internally around this shared vision. It's an evolved vision for the network and for our technology stack. A lot of that's come from sessions where we're really trying to look at what are we good at, what are we okay at, what are not our strengths, and how do we fit into some of these different projects. So we've over the years had conversations with a ton of different projects that are interested in building digital ledger technologies for utility. And so I want to kind of zoom out a little bit and talk about what are we doing and why are we doing it? So, at its core, we're building a set of tools and frameworks to support real world utility use cases for digital ledger technology. And that's across both public and private networks. Our architecture has a unique approach to scalability, interoperability, and customization, and that positions us to support multiple sizes and scales of projects. And so there's different ways to kind of categorize these things, to break them down. But I wanted to start with this one, just sort of size of project and how they think about infrastructure and infrastructure maintenance. So I'll actually start in the middle here on the slide. So, our kind of target in terms of project in the past has always been this medium large project that are interested in deploying their own Metagraph. And so as you deploy your own Metagraph, you're taking on some responsibility in terms of deploying infrastructure, maintaining that infrastructure, and a lot of the specifics of how your network is going to work. And in exchange for that responsibility, you're going to get a ton of opportunity. It's going to be Metagraph is extremely flexible. There's a ton that you can do that you really can't do in other systems. You're going to have full control over your own tokenomics, rewards distribution, manage your own network of node operators. So all that comes along with some of this responsibility of launching a Metagraph. At the smaller scale, there's projects that are smaller than that. They're not going to want to manage their own infrastructure. They're going to want to deploy once and then forget about it. So these kinds of projects would make a lot of sense working with smart contracts. You pay the gas fee, you deploy your smart contract, and then you don't have to really maintain it in terms of infrastructure going forward. And so we've thought about how do we work with these sizes of projects. And so we don't have anything to announce yet on that front, but we'll likely have our own managed infrastructure service that would likely go through a Metagraph that would allow these projects to deploy their infrastructure, their smart contracts, or whatever other structures we're looking at, and then have it maintained on their behalf. This could also be a public Metagraph as well with open network. And then on the other scale is these enterprise projects. So this would cover government, federal, large private enterprise. And these projects are going to already have extensive infrastructure. They're going to have really custom requirements around what their business logic looks like, what their data access controls look like, security, and in a lot of cases, a public network isn't going to make sense for them. They're going to be looking at private network deployments. And as we've had some of these discussions, we've found that our architecture actually fits very well into some of these larger scale private network deployments. The kind of hub and spoke architecture of the Hypergraph and Metagraphs allows this kind of unique ability to have everything come into a holistic whole eventually, a linear chain on the Hypergraph, while having custom ingestion validation on each Metagraph that can work on these really larger scale projects. Things like smart cities, things like we've talked with some large e-commerce retailers that are looking for deployments within their own large cloud stacks. So things along those lines. So I think looking at all these different scales that we could potentially support with what we're building, I see it as kind of a holistic. These aren't separate paths that we choose one or we choose the other, but we're really choosing, especially on the enterprise front, choosing projects that are going to allow us to build out the major features for the public network. The public network, of course, is contributing to any private deployments in terms of the code base and the open source knowledge that's there. So I really see these all kind of, hate to use the word, almost hate to use the word synergy, but it applies here. I think that all these things are kind of working together to move us in the same direction. And so I think we're internally cohesive on that, and I hope that the wider community can start to see that as well going forward. So I think that leads us into maybe the next slide.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I really just wanted to touch on the kind of enterprise opportunity, and a lot of your vision is also not that we're going to have two isolated businesses, one public, one private. We do believe that where blockchain technology is heading is that once people get comfortable in building out their own public network, they're going to start to see the real value of a public ledger and a layer zero to add validation of the state of their metagraph. And so our structure actually allows that flexibility so that people can have the ability to get comfortable and build a private network. But the real value is using consensus of a truly decentralized network, or else you're just kind of stuck with a somewhat centralized instance. And so we see that this will really kind of be a hybrid approach that happens and scales over the next couple of years as we start to see adoption in both sectors and real value come to light across different use cases. Which kind of brings me up to enterprise positioning. So one of the big questions that our community has had is how do we translate value between our work with and building out private networks like what we're doing with the Department of Defense. And we're coming out today and updating our website. So if you go to our website, you'll see an enterprise page. And really our focus here is kind of show our paths, which kind of starts to emulate what a Red Hat model is to Linux, where you have open source technology that people can build on their own. And then on the other side, we have the ability to offer services that cater towards private deployments. And so the way that we are connecting the value between both our work on the private network is much like a Red Hat does with Linux. Because we're using tools on the public ledger side in an open source capacity, we're going to be paying out a licensing fee. So we charge a licensing fee to enterprise partners based on their budget or use case of snapshots. So if you go to the website, you'll see a calculator. This image right here is not just an image on a deck. There's actually a calculator that you can play around with. And so we charge in DAG. And in the event that an enterprise customer or government doesn't have DAG, we'll process the fiat to DAG by purchasing off of exchanges. From there, we will then hand over the fee over to the Stardust Collective. So once again, kind of treating this like an open source foundation, we'll hand that fee over to the Stardust Collective, where they can decide whether it's good for a node reward or it's better to be irrevocable. And I think the Stardust Collective will actually be coming out with a statement shortly after the Hypergraph in more detail. And if you want, go look at kind of our enterprise page. This is going to be kind of built out more in the following months as we start to launch metagraphs and show more traction and start to draw the correlation between the license that we sell to the private network and back to the public network. So take a look at that. Go ahead.
I should just mention on that point, nothing about that system changes the licensing of our open source software. We're still using the Apache 2.0 license, which is one of the more open licenses that you can use. It's just that we're able to still charge this licensing fee with these private deployments and have it benefit the network. So even though we have fully open source software, these private deployments still owe something to that that larger open source development, and so this should satisfy that.
I know this isn't my hypergraph. I just want to see how big of a deal this is. This is a real big deposit. It's taken a lot of mind share to get to this point. And it gives us a chance to express the best parts of everything in one holistic vision. So I hadn't even seen the website yet. So while I was on here, I went and checked it out. It looks great, guys. So really well done. I encourage everybody to check it out. Back to you, Alex.
No, thanks, Diggles. I appreciate that. And it really coincides with a lot of the work that Diggles is building out with various opportunities across federal and commercial deployments on kind of the work that we put forward and how do you license this technology and how do we charge for it. That's opening us up to scaling out to other systems integrators that can take the reins and follow our model while we focus on creating core technology for the open source side of things. A little update on Lattice. As we get closer to the releasing Metagraphs and start deploying over September and October, we're going to start to pick up the conversation around Lattice again. So a highlight for many of you will be that in early November, after we give this some time to gestate on the Metagraphs, Alex and I will come back and do a Hypergraph hour in November to kind of go over the roadmap and the path to cross-chain swaps and bringing out DEX liquidity, which can only be really done when you start to have Metagraphs. So that's very exciting for us. Other updates, this has also been kind of in the coming. By the end of September, we will be distributing Exelix trading fees for people that use the Exelix swapping function on Lattice. We've accrued about $15,000 in fees that will be distributed to VELTX holders in the form of LTX. Also to highlight kind of Lattice updates, we did a recent integration with Li-Fi. We'll also start to integrate fee sharing there as well as things start to ramp up. And also Stardust Collective has really taken the reins and starting to create an evaluation process for new projects coming to the Lattice Launchpad. This is pretty neat because we're starting to see more momentum from projects starting up again, which kind of gives us a signal that their developers are coming back into the Web3 space. They're starting to get excited and they're starting to find Lattice as a new home to reach community support. So without further ado, we're going to go into the Door Metagraph, and Alex is going to break down the Door Metagraph for everybody and what to expect.
Yeah, great. So I'll go through some kind of high level, try not to bore everybody with stuff you already know, go into a little bit of the technical challenges, what the process of building the Door Metagraph has been like, and what that looks like. We'll do a live demo of how to set up a Door device to interact with Metagraph, and then demo this Door Metagraph Explorer that is on a screenshot there on the side. So see a real device check in and use the Metagraph. So starting at a high level, so what's, why did we build the Door Metagraph? What's the purpose? It's a Metagraph for ingesting foot traffic data on chain and providing a provably fair rewards mechanism for DTM owners and node operators through the bounty system. So it's notarizing data on chain, which allows for validation of data sets with off-chain controls for accessing the data. So in a lot of ways, this is a hybrid app that's combining parts of decentralization with centralized aspects through the Door backend and Door API. And I think that's really going to be a common use case. And so it's been definitely interesting and challenging, kind of working out some of the best practices around how we're going to do that for this first Metagraph that is also meant to be fully open source and as a demonstration of best practices working with at least an IoT style Metagraph. So how does it work? So the Door Metagraph. There's the network of IoT foot traffic sensors. So these are the DTMs. They are the producers of data. So they're producing foot traffic data. They're signing it at the source cryptographically, and then they're sending it to the Door Metagraph, which validates that data, interfaces with Door APIs, and then stores data on chain. I think we got a minor typo on the slide. Provably fair bounty rewards are distributed daily to datapreneurs and validator node operators in the form of Door token. So sort of twofold purpose of this Metagraph is one, distributing rewards in a fair way, and then two, putting validated data on chain that can then be matched against off-chain data sets to prove its provenance and where it came from starting with those sensors. So on the next slide, we can go into a little bit of what it's looked like, what the process of that building has been. The door Metagraph project spearheaded development with the Constellation's currency framework and data API. So really, we're the first major users of that framework, and the first production IoT use case developed for the network. So there's a lot of kind of exploration, figuring out the best ways to do things. There's three development paths that we were working on. One is the DTM app. So that's the, iOS and Android supporting app for the DTM, which is, we created supporting features for interacting with the DTM, pulling the public key off of that sensor device. And then also it's used for inputting a preferred rewards address for network rewards. The DTM firmware was also had some development. So support for cryptographic signing algorithms were added, as well as support for syncing with the Metagraph and maintaining consistent state between the door backend and the Metagraph. And then, of course, the majority of the development was on the Metagraph itself. It's built on top of the, like I said, the data API, we had a few challenges that came up that were a bit unexpected. One was we had a support for custom ingestion formats for data. So the DTM device communicates in a binary format. That's a format called CBOR, which initially wasn't supported through the data API. So there was some work there to add support. And so now the data API can ingest data in any format through the use of decoders, can use that. So it really kind of adding back to the community framework. This is work that can then be used by other projects going forward. The other really big challenge that we had was figuring out best practices around working with state within the Metagraph. So the data API gives access to complete custom snapshot state. And the only one of the few limitations is that when that snapshot is submitted to the Hypergraph, there's a maximum size of 500 kilobytes. And so, working through some of the most efficient ways to store data within that format, where ultimately the size of the data that we need to store is much bigger than 5 kilobytes. And so, kind of spreading that out across multiple snapshots. So one of the features that we have that's just being wrapped up right now, actually, is a system for using auxiliary state within the Metagraph. So this is state that's built up in memory through incremental traversal of snapshots. So essentially traversing through all historical snapshots through the changes in each snapshot, building up a state tree in memory that gives us access to using state that's much larger, significantly larger than 500 kilobytes. Whatever your memory limitations are, really what the ultimate limit of that is. So these are some of the things that we worked on. I think the community was expecting, and probably I think we set the expectation that the idea was to launch this over the summer. But ultimately, the important thing here is we test everything thoroughly. As challenges come up, we overcome them, and when things are production ready, then they can launch to mainnet. So I guess just final thing I mentioned a little bit before, but working with this idea of hybrid architectures, the Door Metagraph combines aspects of decentralization with the Metagraph, and then it's integrating with traditional Web 2 infrastructure in the form of the Door backend specifically. And so we're able to use the Metagraph and the decentralization as a fair way to distribute rewards with data that is informed by metadata from an external API service. You could call it an Oracle. And so this is going to be a common use case for other projects, and I think that's makes it a really good will be a really good example for the community when we release it. So I think from here we're going to dive right into a live demo. So let's see if we can get this set up.
Let's do it. You want me to stop the screen share?
I will take over screen here in a second.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I mean, it's one of the big reasons why Alex is in the role he's in, is that technical excellence of ensuring that we've got the right sort of cascade effect, right? Phase approach to testing things, to making sure that they're ready for mainnet is absolutely paramount. And I just think that the invention of the integrations net that that we've created is absolutely brilliant. I've done enough software in my career to know there's nothing worse than trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube after you've released something. What's the stupid saying? Software isn't released, it escapes. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing from a technical excellence. When we're working with entities like the DoD, there's a lot of times you only have one shot, right? When it comes to a big promise and a big deployment like this. So anyway, just gussing you up, buddy, because I think what you're doing here is absolutely awesome.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think whoever's the host would need to enable screen sharing. Maybe Ben.
Should have it.
Okay. Can see my screen? All good?
Yep.
All right. So you should be seeing two things on your screen. One is a mirrored version of the app that's on my phone here, because you probably wouldn't be able to see it just with the video. And then a video of my DTM device that I have in front of me here. So what I want to demo here is the setup process for enabling Metagraph support on your DTM hardware. So I've got open the DTM management app on my screen here. So I've already got a deployed device. And so if I click into it, can see that there's an option to connect this DTM to the Door Metagraph. This is only going to show up if you have a later version of the firmware that also supports it. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. It's going to ask me to turn on Bluetooth on the device, pressing the button. And then we're going to add device to the Metagraph. So what this is doing is extracting the public key off of the DTM hardware. The private key that is part of that pair will never leave the device. And so we've extracted the public key and then registered it with the backend. So if I go down to this rewards section, you can also see that there's a DAG rewards address. So you can enter a default address that you want all of your rewards to go to for the full account, or you can do a custom one, per device. So in this case, let's leave the default. And so I've got my device set up to kind of rapidly check in. So next we can take a look at the Door Metagraph Explorer, which, let's go full screen with this. So this is an Explorer site for the Door Metagraph. This is kind of a test version that we have right now. The full version is going to launch next week, along with some other things that I'll describe a little bit later. But this will launch next week. So it gives kind of some information about network health, token information. You can see all the rewards that are distributed in Door token, and each of the device check-ins as the DTM checks in with the Metagraph and sends its data. You can also explore all the different snapshots that are created by the network and check out Door transactions. So we go ahead and reload the page here, and hopefully we will see my device checking in. So it looks like it hasn't updated quite yet, but we can. There we go. So we can match this up. So you can see the device public key. This is going to be the identifier that's used to interact with your device, in Explorers and various places. So you can see that this is my device public key. It checked in just a minute ago. We can see a hash of the data, not the actual data itself, and which ordinal it checked in on. So yeah, I think in terms of a demonstration, just wanted to kind of give a quick demo showing how this is working, and then we can jump into a little more meat of the rollout.
That was
Like a
fantastic,
ton.
Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Kidding me? So much work going into that. So much vision. So much net new technology. It's so cool.
But I think the slide hasn't popped up yet.
Yeah, it says Jorgensen started sharing screen, but still
Great.
blank. Maybe try again.
All right. Alex, you want to take it over? I'm having
Yeah, I could give it a try here. Let's see.
not letting me take it.
There it is. All right, we're back.
Cool. Yeah, so the Door Metagraph beta program. So this is a program that we're launching as early as next week, and the purpose is final testing of the Door Metagraph in preparation for going live on mainnet. So the beta program will it's going to use real hardware, real users. These are existing DTM users, and distribute bounty rewards to those users with the production rewards distribution logic. So that's going to run on integration net. And the idea of this is to do an extremely realistic test, to do tests with throughput, stability, everything that we need to do to be completely sure that the Door Metagraph is ready for prime time, ready to go live. It will likely run at least 3 weeks, but we're going to, of course, be responsive to any bugs that come up, any issues that we see. If everything is fine, there's no issues, then we're going to rapidly move towards a mainnet launch. So I know people like dates, and hey, here's when the launch is going to happen. But the reality is that we're gonna use stability and readiness as our guiding factors here. So we have a form with a link there. We'll also post it on Telegram, on Discord, a few other places, and so you can sign up for that beta program if you want to be one of those first users. The idea is that with any luck, we'll launch mid next week, and first onboard a few users, and then scale that up to close to the full user base so that we can test scale. And throughout that process, you're going to be able to see you're going to be able to use that the Metagraph dashboard, see all the transactions and all of the device check-ins that are happening, and really see the whole Metagraph system working on IntegrationNet. So this is really what we deployed IntegrationNet for, in not just the Door Metagraph, but for these kinds of realistic final staging testing before we go to mainnet. So Got Ben up next.
And to coincide with our beta program, we're proud to announce that during the launch of the Door Metagraph, we are also integrating with Bit4X, which is a centralized exchange that is working with us alongside to integrate Metagraph tokens over these next coming weeks, and they will be our premier partner for a Constellation ecosystem to support all Metagraph tokens that go through their review process, starting with the Door token as well. So we're really excited about this partnership. The CEO, Jason, and I have actually built a really good rapport. The Bit4X team has been extremely supportive of our vision. They're really excited to be one of the premier partners and a direct path for Metagraph tokens to get listed and liquidity. And so with everything that Alex is working on, we wanted to coincide a liquidity provisioning for the Door token in conjunction with the launch of the mainnet. And we've been successful enough to start that integration this week with Bit4X to support Metagraph tokens. Bit4X will also be listing DAG and LTX. All of this will be happening in October while we actually start beginning the integration this week. We kicked it off today, actually. So there's a really great quote by Jason, the CEO. He really gets what we're doing. He gets the vision. He's excited to do this. And so they're getting familiar with everything, with our technology, and have been able to commit to October to really coincide with the launch of our Metagraphs, while also being able to provide liquidity support for the Door token. So on further note, and when we get closer to listing and the integration's complete, Jason's going to come on to the Hypergraph Hour and do a little introduction of Bit4X, talk about their vision, why they wanted to support Metagraph projects. But this is exciting for us, and it was definitely a missing piece for us as we were building out kind of the technical side, as we wanted to kind of show end support and liquidity. So really great opportunity for us to start somewhere pretty strong and really make a presence over in Asia. Next slide.
Yes, I should just say that this is super exciting for me, at least personally, and for the network. If until there's this kind of support, exchange support for Metagraph tokens, then how can we say it has value? And so just having this liquidity, this ability to trade Metagraph tokens for I think several different pairs through Bit4X. This onboarding pathway for new projects to get their tokens listed as well. It's going to be significantly easier for those projects after we get Door listed. So super excited for what this means for Metagraphs and Metagraph tokens.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. This was good, and it was really part of our negotiation over the past month around making sure that we had a fast track for Bit4X to be able to review Metagraph projects and take priority. And we really wanted to separate ourselves from other ecosystems that we could also offer not only developer support, but also making sure they have a channel for Metagraph tokens. Next slide. Now, without further ado, I think we all know Sarah, so she doesn't really need an introduction here at Constellation in our group. And I'm excited that GeoJam will be one of the first Metagraph tokens to go live. And she wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of walk through, give a preview on their Metagraph project and what they're doing in testnet. So Sarah, I'll let you take it from here.
Amazing. Do you have my slides by chance?
We do.
Awesome. Okay, I'll just tell you when to go to the next one. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
well,
Sarah.
This is actually one of the first times we've openly talked about our new product, which is our talent portal. As many of you know, we signed a deal with WME, which is one of the largest agencies in the world, talent agencies, and we're partnering with them to create this really secure and transparent way for people and brands and businesses to directly connect with talent, whether that's like a Web3 influencer or even Mariah Carey or a big artist. You can securely transact with them on our new talent portal through sending proposals, which, as you guys know, is a huge part of our ecosystem. We can go to the next one. And so we have WME's entire roster on our talent portal, which is really cool. I mean, there's people from like Adam Sandler to Dua Lipa, just major celeb power, as well as we're onboarding tons of Web3 influencers. So if you're another crypto project and you want to get somebody to promote your brand or project on Twitter, this is a great way to do that. Or if you want to fly on a private jet with Mariah Carey, you can also send it. So whether you're using it for business or personal purposes, it's super secure and transparent, and everything happens directly on the platform. So yeah, the way that it's working right now is that you're going to come in, you'll be able to send proposals, and then directly from there, you will be able to, the talent will be able to accept, reject, or counter the proposal. And it all happens on chain. And you just connect your wallet and you're able to send the proposal directly to the talent, and then they can counter, reject, or accept the proposal, of course. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be integrating the Metagraph tokens into our network directly so that you don't have to pay fees on that at all. But the platform is really cool and super fast, and it's completely transparent, which is just a huge problem that we face. A lot of people will pay somebody and then the talent runs away with their funds and then they never get the deliverables. And so what this does is once the proposal is done, if it's a social media post or even a performance, that gets directly put on as proof. And then that goes directly to our content operators to validate that that is proof, and our content operators are rewarded. And we have some really unique ideas to bring in Constellation's node operators involved into this process as well to help validate these proposals and proof, so that everyone can earn rewards as well, because we want it to truly be decentralized, and that's how we want to handle disputes. But as you can see here, this is just where you can see all of your proposal, the activity, and what the status of them is currently. And so, yes, we'll be connected with Stargazer, and we'll have the Metagraph tokens available, the JM Metagraph tokens, and you won't have to spend anything on gas fees, which just gives you a lot of flexibility, because if you're sending tons of proposals, and there's going to be many times where maybe the talent doesn't accept it, but you won't have to pay a fee, the gas fee on that, which will just give you a lot more usability and ability to just send more proposals, because you won't lose anything on it thanks to the Metagraph tokens that we'll be integrating with.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. I really want to give a shout out to GeoJam and what they've accomplished as a team, especially with a lot of the uncertainty and people being skittish around influencers and celebrities being skittish around cryptocurrency, even NFTs. And we've seen some backlash come out of that. GeoJam started this so many years ago that they've been kind of a guiding light for major agencies like William Morris. I can't emphasize how big that is, and giving them kind of being able to be almost a liaison into the Web3 space, so that we can scale out opportunities across influencers and celebrities. And they've really taken the time to, especially as a US company, to figure out the legality, create that trust and confidence where I've seen so many people fail. And you guys are doing such an incredible job and always thinking about the details and the impact, but also kind of juggle a community. And so you guys really are handling a lot of different personas, I guess you would, in your business that not many people do at such an early stage. And you've had such incredible traction across the board. And being able to get a massive agency is a one-to-many, right? You don't have to go to each individual. You're able to go to a directory of people and be able to get them on board and not have them go through like, hey, what's good, what's not. You know, you're really creating some positivity in a space that I think has some of the could have some of the largest impact in Web3, and to really validating and giving it more credibility and legs and trust for it to scale. So huge thank you to GeoJam and the team for everything you guys are doing and have accomplished. You're at the right time. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Ben, for having us and everything you said. We're really excited about just like this token utility for the Jam token is going to be huge. With this
I think
new
it's going to be
product.
a great use case and way to create that trust and confidence back into that industry. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Talk soon.
Alex, I'll hand it back over to you for our little
Yeah.
surprise.
But wait, there's more.
So, so this is a fun one. We're you know, looking for other metagraphs that we can build internally, things that are going to be useful for the community, and things that are going to be you know, useful in demonstrating particular features within open source code bases. So things that can really seed development and you know, both benefit the community but also benefit developers that are coming after us. And so we're announcing today the Constellation naming service. So this is going to be a metagraph for registering .dag domains. And so you're going to have, you know, integrations into Constellation sites, ecosystem platforms. You'll be able to use that you know, human readable .dag domain to represent a DAG address in the same way that, you know, Ethereum has the Ethereum naming service and the .eth integrations. We're doing this for DAG as well. And you know, I think this has been requested for, I don't know, years at this point. People saying, hey, why can't we have DAG domains? And so we're excited to do that as a metagraph.
But I'm going to own Dagnum's name first. You know, that'll be my first one.
Yeah, we should go and snipe out a bunch of people's. I would never do that.
They're going to snipe mine before I get a chance.
I just want McDonald's.dag. That's all.
And so one of the really cool things about what this is going to demonstrate is that you're actually going to go to the front end for this. You're going to search for the DAG domain that you want, and then you can be able to pay in DAG. So you can use Stargazer Wallet. You're going to send DAG to the Metagraph. It's going to confirm that that transaction. It's going to then grant you the name that you've reserved. So it's going to be a really good demonstration of how to accept DAG payments in an atomic way through a Metagraph. And we hope to see a lot more, you know, projects doing that after this. Exciting for a lot of reasons on this one, but more of a fun drop here.
Yeah, this will be fun. Great work on this. Next, you want to do next slide? So Alex, I'm going to stop it after this slide, just to let you know. So guys, just to kind of recap, today's been kind of a really big day. I think there's been a lot of releases. The Constellation naming service will roll out shortly after the Door Metagraph. Door Metagraph really kind of extends everything that we're doing, using every piece of tooling as well as active live hardware. So we're really using that as kind of the first big deployment. And then after that, you'll start to see a lot more rolling out, following up with the CNS. As a fun way to get the community involved. And then we've got a lot planned for the next couple of months. Obviously, we're going to be highlighting and showcasing more Metagraph projects. We wanted to introduce more, but this, as you can see, we're already running over time in many ways. And we have many more in the docket right now, and they're ready to start talking about their use cases. So expect to start to see some content coming out and explanations around Metagraph projects as soon as next week, and to showcase and demo what they're doing on testnet. Other things that we've got planned in store already are a federal, a Hypergraph hour that's focused on federal. Your favorite person, Mr. Diggles, will be your host, as well as a special guest who has been working with the Department of Defense and federal initiatives for the better part of 3 or 4 decades, and has become a real champion of getting us in the door where we otherwise wouldn't have. And this really kind of will start to set the tone of how we're scaling our technology through commercial and federal deployments. We also, as I mentioned, will be doing a Hypergraph hour with Bitforex's CEO when they are ready to launch the Metagraph token. on their network. And so our Metagraph, as we mentioned, we're putting that to testnet as well as testing out with Bit4X as well. So we can't thank Bit4X enough for being kind of our test bed and guinea pig on getting this technology out the door. We will be doing more Metagraph showcases, as I mentioned. And then in November, what you'll see is that we'll get back to Lattice Gateway and start talking about DEX liquidity for our ecosystem and the path to cross-chain swaps. So that's all I got for you guys today. It was a lot, and tried to keep it to the top of the hour, and I think I'm 2 minutes over. So we'll stop there. And Alex, once again, congratulations, man. And you going through everything just shows the breadth of your leadership and knowledge and ability to implement with execution. So I can't thank you enough. And that was a fantastic live demo too. Always gives me sweaty palms, but I think we've been successful on all of our live demos. So looking forward to the beta program next week. Please sign up for it. You'll see everything really working, and then it's just about deploying. So yeah, looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, and also glad the live demo went okay. I think we have a pretty good track record. Often they don't go the way you expect. So
Keep the demo demons at bay. Great job, guys. Hypergraph hour 51 down.
51 down, 51 years old. in DAG years. All right. Later, guys. Thank you.